Marvel's Avengers. Wait, no. Who the fuck are these guys? I asked for the Avengers, not the fucking Simp Squadron. So anyways, Marvel's Avengers came out last week. So what is the game about? Well, let me answer that quickly for you. The Avengers, obviously, you fucking numpty. You start off as Kamala, a fangirl of the Avengers, which you're going to an Avengers convention or some shit, whatever the fuck that is. And then boom, bridge blows up, everything's fucked, you get stretchy arms, and then Mega Mind controls everything. You stretchy arm lassie then has to find and reunite the Simp Squadron, but only once at a time because the FPS can barely handle a fucking elevator, never mind the Hulk scrapping with his retarded cousin. Marvel's Avengers is a third person slap that robot until he's fucking kaput. You've got the single player campaign, which is a linear story where you play Spaghetti Hands, Pot of Greed, Iron Person, Black Widow, who we definitely like for a compelling back story, Shield Guy, and finally this superconductive man. That's probably not safe. You're probably gonna fucking die. And then you've got the Avengers Initiative, which is pretty much campaign missions, but you can play them multiplayer. That's what I think anyways. I'm gonna make a Square Enix account. Oh fuck. Okay, so I made a Square Enix account. I was right. So how's the story? Well, if you like the Marvel films, the story is going to be very familiar, with the humour and dialogue being right in line with the Marvel films. So if you don't like them, you're definitely not going to like this. But if you do, the story can be pretty enjoyable, with the stretchy arm lassie being pretty adorable and a decent protagonist, even though the fangirl personality can get a bit repetitive late game. And you do sort of start to stop caring about her when you can play as fucking Iron Man. Who the fuck wants to play with stretchy limbs when you can play with fucking Iron Man? All the characters are like the movies, with similar personalities but have different voice actors, so it can be a bit jarring when you're expecting the characters to look and sound like the movies, especially when the writing is so in line with the movies. But in general, the characters are pretty likeable, and that's coming from me, a heartless fucking bastard. And it is always really cool to see your favourite Marvel heroes come together, even if they look like the Karen's Initiative. The voice acting is also pretty good, with the best part, without a doubt, being the fact that Joel, this cutie, is the fucking Hulk! So what about gameplay? Well, it varies, as all the playable characters have different abilities with their own movesets. You've got Stretchy Arm Bitch, who can high-five people, regen health, and become a pure massive cunt. And then you've got Hulk, who can clap, but he can clap really hard. You don't fucking get it, right? You don't get it. And so on for all the characters. Most of the abilities are really fun to play about with, especially some of the cooler ones like Iron Man's massive suit, which is just so fucking cool. And from this review, I'm realising I just fucking love Iron Man. The actual combat itself plays similar to the most recent God of War, with the hack and slash like combat but not reaching the same depth as the Devil May Cry games, with simple combos and abilities to replace combo chains. So if you're a dumb fuck like me, thankfully you'll have no problem here, because the combos that are in the game mostly consist of square square triangle. Although there's nothing wrong with the basic foundation of the combat, where the problem arises is the lack of weight that comes with the combat, as attacks don't feel as punchy or as satisfying as they should, which is even more noticeable when compared to other games with similar combat. Like, you know, there's a problem when Ratatouille hits harder than the fucking Hulk, which, I'm going to be honest, at the time I didn't really mind it too much, but it is pretty jarring when you go from playing the Black Widow to the Hulk doing the same damage with a punch. Something doesn't add up here. You can argue this is for balance and all that shit, but it's a really fucking lazy and boring way to balance the game. They could have made the Hulk slower but deal more damage, but also taking more damage as he's a bigger target and all that shit. I don't know, just small things like this to make the characters feel more unique and fun to play. Another aspect of the gameplay that can get annoying and take away from the core combat is all the shite shooting at you off screen, which you have to deal with, as well as dodging all the enemies attacking you in front of you, making the combat encounters where they chuck a fuck ton of enemies at you more frustrating than a bull roundhouse kicking your testicles, because you're fighting all these cunts in about 12 frames per second and the game still expects you to be the fucking Neo from the Matrix. There is still fun to be had with the combat, and I did find myself enjoying it throughout the campaign, but it really is just mediocre. The best parts of the combat is definitely the playstyles that each hero adds, with all their abilities being really fun to use. Plus the fact that it's so fucking cool to play these characters flying about as a Iron Man again. Seriously, I need to fucking stop. Well anyways, flying about as Iron Man is fucking glorious. which, if you don't like the Marvel heroes, you probably won't get the same joy out of playing. But I will say the combat and the story was definitely fun enough for me to enjoy my time with the campaign, but that still doesn't nullify the issues that lie with it. But there's one thing that absolutely fucking destroys this game, and that is the fact that the FPS in this game gives Microsoft PowerPoint a run for its money, because holy shit, is the FPS horrific. I was playing this on the PS4 Pro and it felt like I was playing back on the PS3 trying to run through fucking Blighttown on Dark Souls 1. It's that bad. Even in the so-called performance mode, it's still fucking awful as it reaches 60 FPS once every 10 minutes and calls it a day right there. Plus the fact there's a fuck ton of motion blur and you can't even turn it off. So also the game shoved in RPG mechanics like finding new gear that gives you more protection and all that shit. They also added skill points with many skill trees to advance your combo strings or abilities. I'll start with the gear because everyone's up in arms about this. So through the game you can pick up gear from the enemies with the enhancing stats like parry chance and all that shit, but it does not change the physical appearance. To be honest, I found this whole aspect pretty forgettable and I barely even cared for it through my entire playthrough. I occasionally went to put on the highest rated gear, but other than that, I couldn't give a fuck. I never really felt that it affected my experience in a bad or good way. I was just like, why the fuck is it here? Also, with the whole change in appearance thing, I guess it kinda sucks, but I wasn't too bothered to be honest, but then again, it's pretty much my stance on everything. This game has a metric fuck ton of technical issues.
That thing is broken. Yeah, can we fix this?
Literally in the first 3 times I tried to play the game, it just had me looking at a fucking black screen. And that's not to mention the amount of bugs and all the shit on top of the poor performance. Oh yeah, completely, I don't know how I forgot this, but I completely forgot about the fucking monetization. The monetization's not good. This is a full fucking £50 game and they've shoved in battle passes for every character. There's skins you can buy day fucking one. Like, I'm all for microtransactions in a game if they're fucking reasonable and you're gonna provide something more for the player, but here it's just a fucking shit show, which having this on top of the technical issues is a really fucking bad look. Right, I don't think Marvel's Avengers is a fucking terrible game. I don't think it's a good game. I enjoyed my time with it. I don't think I'll go back to play the endgame. I think there's some replayability out there if you really fucking look for it, but if you're looking for a game to grind, there are so many better fucking games. I think in general, if you like Marvel's Avengers and all that shit, it can be a decent game, but it's nothing more than that. There's a lot of fucking problems, especially the FPS. I can't tell you how much improving the FPS would improve the experience, because the foundation, it could be worse. The game's not fucking dreadful, the game's not fucking great, I don't fucking know. So where does it sit on the all faithful trusty shitometer? Well, I was more than up to put it in aye it's decent, but because of the amount of fucking technical issues and the egregious monetization, this fucker's in alright, I guess. So I don't know, go fucking watch ACG or some shit. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry. Why the fuck did she completely ignore this perfectly nice kid waving to her? That really fucking pissed me off.